Manager semifinals. Mr.
Thank you,
Jones?
Mayor, members of council. I'm going to read these names. Please do not ascribe any significance to the order in which I read these names. But the 5 finalists for city manager are Randy Robertson of Oakland, Maryland, Troy Bell of Muskegon Heights, Michigan, Mitchell Hamas of Colorado Springs, Colorado, Tara Marshall of Trinidad, Colorado, and Audra Garrett of Trinidad, Colorado. Those are the 5 finalists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We go to item 1 under work session, discussion of solar farm lease.
We're cutting out and coming back.
Yeah, we gotta start the second, so
That way, it's,
solar farm guy.
yeah, let me
Yeah.
get rid of this
Join in.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry for all the hoopla, technicalities, start, stop.
That's how you do it. Good to see you again.
Good to see
I'm glad
you.
someone knows what they're doing.
Yes.
I believe Tom is already on
Aaron should be, coming on to this one as well.
here. There's Brian.
Y'all.
Hello, Cam.
Then there's,
Bear with us here. Alright, we're good?
I'm gonna have to
So
figure
now
out
we
how
need
to
to
share.
do share, right? Share.
What's that? Oh, sorry.
oops.
There it is.
How do I? It's like stuck.
Oh.
Off for the good old days of microfilm, huh?
Wanna go to slideshow? Yes, please.
Start slideshow.
Yes, please.
Oh, look at that.
You're gonna have to.
Good job.
Okay,
Good.
we're good.
Okay. Mayor and Council, I have Rick Reigel here today to give a presentation on the solar farm. He's the general manager of ARPA. Yeah. Okay.
Well, good afternoon. Nice to see you all again. I appreciate you being invited back to kind of go over some exciting projects that we're working on. It's a solar farm that we're building, actually Sand Hills Energy, also known as Clay Creek LLC. They are a developer working with us, and we are putting in a solar farm here in Trinidad, Lamar, La Junta, and Los Animas. Okay, what do I got for that? Okay, I'll try not to screw this up too bad. So, anyway, the solar farm is, we executed a purchase power agreement with Clay Creek LLC here early January, I guess. It was a project we've been working on for probably a couple of years. And I know Cam and Brian Berner from Sand Hills are on the call today. So guys, if I say anything wrong, holler at me.
No problem, Rick. We will.
Okay.
You're doing great.
We're building a 1.8 megawatt at Trinidad and Los Animas, and a 4.8 megawatt in Lamar and La Junta. We're doing these sizes because all the power from the generator from that solar will go directly into your distribution system. We don't have to go to Tri-State to get transmission agreements with them or anything like that, because it will all be consumed by those utilities, by those cities. a little bit with Trinidad. Also, size of the property that was available was also impacted the size of the solar installation. And access our proximity to a substation so that we could connect the solar into a substation. But the contract requires us, we'll purchase all the output of the solar generation. The target that's have been set for that generation is the 35,000 megawatts annually, and that's all 4 of them combined. That's about 12% of our total energy requirements. Of that amount, Trinidad's will be about 4,400 megawatts of that. So it's a significant addition to our resources. Now that contract term is a 25-year term, and it does have a couple of caveats, if you will, to it. There's early termination in 2041. So in 2041, if we get together and say, hey, you know what, maybe there's other resources that are they're equipped, or we've seen significant changes, we do have the ability to get out of the contract. Now, there's another reason that could be important. Our contract with you and all of our other members expires October 1st of 2043. So by 2041, then who's ever on the ARPA board at the time will have to decide whether they want ARPA to continue to go forward as it is, if there will be changes. Who knows what will happen by then. So you'll have an opportunity, or whoever the decision makers are at the time will have the opportunity to say whether they want to continue this contract. And that may have a little bit to do with whether ARPA continues or not. The construction, they're anticipated to start construction this spring/summer with the in-service date towards the end of 2025 and 2026. And one of the things, when I'm done here, I'd ask Brian and Cam to kind of maybe give you an update, guys, if you don't mind, about put the pause on some of this federal funding, because this did come through some of that federal funding. I visited with Brian and Cam about that, and the impact it might have. The cost of the operations and maintenance and everything is on the seller. It's on Clay Creek LLC. We're just purchasing the output from it. So they come in, they build it, they develop it, they maintain it, and we purchase the output at a set price. The agreement we have does allow on-site inspections by your utility people. They have the right to come and go, in coordinating with Clay Creek, but they do have the site access and inspection rights. And the seller is responsible for decommissioning this at the end of life. Now we have that, we wrote that into our PPA, that needed to be included in your lease agreement. And I think, Dave, you did hand out a copy of the lease that you can take another time. But we did want to make sure that the decommissioning of these units would fall on the seller. Now, the other thing we did is we had to perform what's called system impact studies. And what we wanted to find out is, would there be any negative impact on Trinidad's distribution system when we added this generation like this? So we went together with Clay Creek, and we hired CLP Engineering. And I don't know if you remember, but back in October, CLP was here and gave a presentation of some of the other studies they've done on your distribution work. And again, that was through a contract with ARPA. We contracted with CLP Engineering to review all of our members' distribution systems and set some priorities for infrastructure improvements. Well, what we did with this is we wanted them to do a system impact study to identify what you may need, what we would need to do to your system to upgrade it, to make the interconnection to the solar farms. And again, to make sure there's no negative impact on Trinidad's system. And the cost of those upgrades is the responsibility of Clay Creek up to a certain amount that we've agreed to, and then anything above that would be ARPA's cost. So none of the cost of those upgrades will fall on Trinidad. The estimation that CLP has, it's a little less than $100,000 of work that will be necessary to hook that up to your system. And of course, the big one was making sure there were no negative impacts on your system. And this is 2 quotes from the engineering study by CLP Engineering. All Trinidad distribution components are rated adequately to support the 1.8 megawatt solar generation, and all the equipment in your substations is adequately rated for increase in renewable generation. So they did not find any negative impacts to the distribution system. And so, what are we talking
Excuse me.
about? Yes.
I just want to, I don't, on the online presentation, if you're going through a PowerPoint, I can't see it. I can see a computer screen with a PowerPoint as an option on it, but it's not playing, so I don't know if that's what you're all looking at, but I'm not looking at it.
Sorry.
Linda's gonna rectify that right now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. Better?
Hold on. Yes, thank you so much.
Of course.
Good job, Linda.
Thank you.
I didn't know. Oops.
So what does that mean? So what have we got? What we're talking about? So this is it's almost 13 acres. I believe it's 12.8 acres, Dave, is the size of the property.
15.
50, is it that big? Okay, so my slide is incorrect there with the 13 acres. It's located out by your wastewater treatment plant. The city does own the property.
Oh, gotcha.
And there will be approximately 430 panels, solar panels. They'll be on, there'll be single axle trackers, they're called. So they will track the sun as it comes around. And then there'll be 9 480 volt inverters that bring the power from the solar panels to the inverters and then dump it onto into the transformers and then onto your system. So ARPA's benefit. This is a competitively priced resource that we're bringing online. It will help us manage our power supply costs. As I think you're probably aware, we did take an 8% rate reduction starting January 1st of this year. And this is one of the... Yeah, I get copies of your newspaper. And so this will help us manage that. We think that we can manage that rate for the next few years. That's our plan anyway, we'll see. But this will really help us with the competitively priced resource to manage that. It also increases the ARPA's renewable footprint. And I put along the state's renewable mandates, I actually should have put goals there. ARPA is not under any mandates to do renewables. That may be something that comes, but currently we are not under any mandates. So a bit of a incorrect word there. As far as benefits to Trinidad, you are the property owner, so you'll be receiving the lease payments off of that land. You'll see an increase in your tax base from the solar fields. And of course, it'll create a few jobs during construction. Now, long term, there's probably not going to be many jobs, because the thing is pretty much self-operating. It's remotely controlled. Clay Creek will remotely control that. They will schedule the power that comes out of that onto the grid. They, according to the contract, they'll give us some day-ahead forecasting, which we need for scheduling our loads. And so there won't be a lot of boots on the ground, if you will, maintenance folks for that. But there will be a few jobs during construction. And one of the other things that I wanted to visit with you about that we'll start talking about at the board, I want to try to start that discussion probably at our February meeting even, is there is a provision in our purchase power agreement that allows us to assign portions of the output from that. So if Trinidad wanted to say, hey, you know what, we would like to own some solar, then we would look at, what I would like for the board to consider is coming up with some kind of a plan where we could allow some of our member cities to go ahead and take a portion of the output from that. Quite frankly, it won't be a big cost savings for you, but in this day and age, sometimes there's some, public good that comes from being able to say that you have that you're part owners in solar. So it'll be something that we're going to work on from the board level. At some point in time, if we get something put together, I'll be back to visit with you about something along those lines. There's a couple of agreements that we still need from Trinidad and from our other three members on this. Is the lease agreement for the property. And again, I think we've been working with Dave and Linda on drafting those. And then also an interconnection agreement with the city and Clay Creek. And that's really an important agreement because it will tell Clay Creek what they need to do to be able to connect into your distribution system. So, there's some things like coordinating if your system trips offline, you want the solar field to trip offline. So that's not generating into your system and your line workers think it's dead. Things like that, safety measures for that. So there's some work into that goes into that agreement or identifies in the agreement. So that's a couple of things I know that Linda and Dave, I think, are going to be bringing to you in the near future. So with that, that's about all I have, and I kind of rambled through that. Are there any questions or any? Yes.
Thank you, Rick, for the presentation. If this is a lease contract, then is Clay Creek LLC responsible for any damages to the solar equipment?
Yeah, they're owners. Yeah, they're the owners. They have to do the maintenance. We have targets established, energy targets that they need to meet, or there are penalties for not meeting them. So if they have some panels that get damaged or quit working, they're going to have to repair them so that they can meet their energy targets. So we don't have any ownership responsibility of that. We're just buying the output.
Well, it's good the city owns the property, so there's not any title issues and third-party encumbrances and easement issues.
Frank, do you have any questions?
You'll-
You would like to speak at our meeting?
Yeah.
I say he's on our board, so he's heard this spiel several times, quite frankly.
Give the presentation.
I don't have anything, I just think it's a great idea. I think it's a great addition to Offset. So if we can get some kind of benefit off an alternate, great.
No questions.
Hey Rick, it's nice to see you here.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. How does the price structure work for this going forward? Is it known at this point, or is it evaluated periodically? How does that work?
So it's a fixed price, and it's confidential. It's started by confidentiality. It's the one thing in the contract that we're not allowed to share. But it is a fixed price, and it has an escalator, an annual escalator.
But if it was not advantageous to ARPA and the city, we wouldn't be doing it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Then,
Yeah.
At the risk of you having to correct a lot, I'm going to wade into this, but
Okay.
I do remember because of transmission companies don't have all the needs, I think, to bring our power to where, as far as what we need, we do have to supplement some power, right? And that there's an added cost for that.
Well, okay, so Trinidad's in, and you're in the same situation that 3 or 4 of our other members. So Tri-State, you're not directly connected to Tri-State's grid.
Correct.
So what you have to do is there's a delivery point where power comes off the grid from Tri-State, who's the transmission provider, and it goes to a San Isabel line. And that San Isabel line actually delivers it to your substation. So you get a bit of a pancake. We pay the Tri-State transmission rate, but it's the Trinidad's responsibility to pay for that San Isabel. So you get a bit of a pancake transmission.
So if my question is, because now we have some power generation local, after the last leg of transmission, are we going to realize any savings because of less power over the final?
Yeah, I wish I'd put that on my slide, Aaron. That is one of the benefits you should see.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you just had I think it was 11, 12, 14% increase from San Isabel.
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think
that.
that's what I was remembering.
Yeah.
We had a pretty appreciable increase, and we're going to have less kilowatt hours garnering that 11% increase. So,
and one of the reasons that that you got that big of an increase is because the way, it's a formula rate, is what it's called, with San Isabel. They put all their costs in, and then they divide that up by the kilowatt hours of those who use it. Well, they had some solar come on, so they're using less kilowatt hours, so your share went up of that total cost. Well, this will offset some of that. Yeah, this will definitely offset some of that.
And then the last question I have, will because it's a new generation at peak power output, will we be able to know how much a month that we can save hypothetically?
So let's just, so from that you can save, if you take a portion of it, you mean along something along that line?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I think you should, because I don't know how you, I guess, see, the way we do our reports is we list each individual resource and what it cost us on our reports. Well, you just have one, and that's ARPA's, but it could be. You know,
I just, I really want to highlight the fact that I think, you know, there's a lot of talk out there frequently of there isn't much thought given to our final ratepayers, and I think it's pretty evident that there is a lot of thought given to our final ratepayers. So this is, I think this is a wonderful thing that we have, and it just should be made known that it's very forward-thinking and helpful for our city.
You know, that's absolutely right. As far as what we're seeing, and it's hard to manage. It's going to be hard for you to manage. For us, is we're seeing significant increases in transmission across the board. We're just renewing our it's called a Network Transmission Service Agreement with Tri-State. We're just now renewing that. I think it's March 1st is the new one take effect, and we anticipate a significant cost. Transmission costs are just going up. And you know, San Isabel was I mean, your costs have gone up.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at buying materials, supplies,
yeah,
your costs have really gone up. Wages, I don't know, you know, there's significant competition. And we're hearing this from every one of our members across the board. As a matter of fact, in the studies that CLP Engineering did, one of the things they highlighted in that were our members' ability to keep and retain, or to get and retain line workers of the competence that's needed because of the competition out there. Black Hills, XL Energy, the contractors, they pay more than what our members can afford to pay. And so you really are in a very tough competitive world for some of that.
Well, we appreciate your partnership and the effort that city staff has put into it. Thank you.
Where were you Tuesday night? We needed you here Tuesday night.
You know, feel free to call me whenever I need to be in a meeting.
Aaron Ogletree, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I appreciate Councilman Williamson's thorough explanation of how this benefits us, and I'm just excited to learn about it. I'm glad that we're diversifying our sources of energy, so thank you for the presentation.
And I think Cam and Brian, did you have a couple comments about Clay Creek?
Hold on here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot. You give me one of these things, and I just flip through channels. Yeah.
That's what the screen that they're looking at. Okay, so how can I go to get that?
So
Yeah.
the solar will be 12% of our power. We're getting 8% from our wind generation. We get about 29% from federal hydro contracts. Because they're a fairly significant amount of renewables already.
Yeah, pretty high renewable.
So Aaron didn't have any questions. I've been on council for a couple of years. I've never had somebody come and present that the city isn't getting having to pay for something.
Bear with us here, sorry.
Well, we haven't connected yet.
Okay.
But we should definitely hold it.
Yeah.
So what would that equivalent equal to for that amount of power? How many houses could you power with that?
You have you have a 10 megawatt
Can I close
peak.
these out?
Yeah.
And this would be almost 2 megawatts.
Thank you, Mike.
And I don't know what your energy sales are offhand are though.
Does it take to work this?
I'm not sure about
It's
that.
roughly 20% of our,
How's working it?
it's 20%.
Is that what it
Right?
How?
Somewhere close.
So
Yeah.
it's significant.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, yeah.
These are significant.
Here.
And then down.
it's appreciable. And I really think that the savings of the 11% are going to be positive for us. That's why.
I think it's a little, yeah. We factored out, we did a deep dive into the economics of this. It doesn't make sense for us to
Can
do
you
it,
all
it's not
see the
economic
screen?
viable. But we came out pretty good, in
Perfect.
really good shape, so.
Yep.
Okay.
So you guys are up. It's your screen.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for getting us up. This is Brian Berner. By the way, I'm the Senior Vice President of Development for Sand Hills. And Cam, are you also on? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Cam Nielsen, VP of Technology and Analytics. I currently live in Chicago, but was raised in Colorado, and all my family is still in Aurora and Greeley. So just excited to be working on Colorado projects.
Great. We don't have to spend a ton of time on some of these slides. I think Cam just put together some quick background on the company and some of the other projects that we've done that are similar to this. And then we can talk a little bit about kind of our plan moving forward and some of the federal financing that makes this possible. So just this slide just kind of details some of the history of Sandhills Energy. So historically, we've been a developer of very large utility scale wind and solar assets. And mostly in Nebraska and then a little bit in Colorado and Iowa. We merged with a company called Blue Sky Solar about 2 years ago. They were another kind of smaller shop, but they specialized in smaller scale construction. So they did a lot of residential and commercial. And we were able to kind of merge the two teams and kind of sync up some of the skill sets to allow us to go into this space of going into the kind of mid-size, we call it municipal scale solar. So kind of this concept directly, working directly with communities to put solar behind their meter and stay local onto their grid. So we're not kind of using the tri-state transmission system, which has a number of complications associated with it. So that's what a lot of the kind of milestones on this slide kind of show to some of our utility scale asset development, and then the merger with Blue Sky and some of our other projects. I think we can move on to the next slide.
I think you just need to scroll. Yeah, there you go.
Oh. Okay, hold on. Not the right one to be navigating this here. Here we go.
Their side arrow, oh, there it is. Yeah. Your fingers are too small.
Too many fingers. Just one finger. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
How do you feel it's technologically advanced?
Scale it down a little bit.
No, I would say that.
Top there.
Just technologically remedial.
There we go.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I would just say this second slide is also kind of more details on the utility scale projects that we've developed. So for the most part, kind of large solar projects, and then we also did the wind powering, the wind repower that is project in Kimball, Nebraska. So that was a 12 megawatt wind farm that we worked with the MEAN, the Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska, to kind of repower and size up to 30 megawatts, and then signed a new power purchase agreement with MEAN. And that was actually how we got introduced to Rick and the ARPA team. They put out an RFP a couple of years ago. I don't know, Rick, when that was. was, that might have been 2019 at this point. But talking about the Lamar wind turbines that they have, and they were interested in looking at repowering those. So we took a look at that and put together a proposal for the ARPA group to repower that project, I think size up to 12 megawatts, which didn't end up ultimately working out, but we've stayed in touch with Rick ever since and kind of came to him when we got this new opportunity of federal funding for these types of solar projects, and said, are you still interested in doing something like this? So that's kind of where this conversation was born. And I think the next slide kind of shows the main project, which is kind of where we really came up with the concept and are currently implementing it.
That was beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of success working with the Municipal Energy Agency of Nebraska. They've got about 40 communities in there, and we responded to an RFP with about 5 of those communities, again, several years ago now, and came up with this concept of putting together a series of 5 projects to make it into one larger project in terms of procurement and financial closing and getting the power price lower than it would have been individually. And then when a number of communities saw that power price, they hopped on in addition. So we're currently in the middle of 14 different projects in 14 different communities, ranging from 100 kilowatts to 10 megawatts in Alliance, Nebraska. So that's spread out through Iowa, Colorado, and Nebraska. And we just put all of the Nebraska projects into operation over the next, we've been doing it over the last couple months, and I think the last one in Alliance will be operational in March. And then we're starting in projects in Fort Morgan, Colorado, Yuma, Colorado, Ray, and Delta. I think we've actually started construction on those this last week. So yeah, that's really the concept, and we brought that over to Rick and said, we'd like to do this for the communities. There was a USDA program called PACE, which was a part of the IRA package that was passed a couple of years ago, and basically it was for communities with populations of 20,000 or less to build solar projects. So we submitted a proposal and got approved for some grant, not a grant, it's a loan, so it's a lower interest loan with some loan forgiveness for long-term power purchase contracts in these types of more rural areas. And so that's what allows us to give such a low price of power, which is ultimately what led ARPA to move forward with us on it. I'm happy to talk through the PACE loan specifics more. There's a bit more detail on the administration transition, but I'll stop right there since I know I just talked for a while.
Brian, if you would, what do you see? Do you see much of an impact from the new administration's pause on funding and where that's
Yeah, so there's no impact on pause from the pause on funding. We wouldn't be getting the loan disbursement for basically until we put the plants in commercial operation. So that won't be till the end of the year, or early next year. So the loan disbursement itself doesn't affect us at all. I think the pause is for 90 days. Really, the open question is, I guess, how many people are going to be left at USDA over the next 90 days, as it seems like there's a lot of cuts happening, and a number of folks on the federal government being offered job, what would you call it, pay packages to quit. So we haven't seen anything. Like, I haven't gotten any, I'm no longer at USDA emails from any of the folks we're working with, but they have been a little bit quieter over the last 30 days than they were previously, so we're trying to kind of get our bearings and make sure that, everything's going to move forward the way we intended. Again, we have a commitment letter on the funds here, so it would be incredibly difficult for an administration to roll it back. They would have to actually change the IRA law that was passed, which it does. There's certainly some discussion for that, but our view is that it's a lot of political capital that would be better spent on other things, and it doesn't appear like there's going to be any legislative change there. So I think it's just a timing issue rather than a real funding risk issue.
Yeah, Brian, we're working with the Ferguson Group. They're a grant writing company out of DC on some of the federal grants. And they're kind of thinking the same thing. They think there's enough momentum behind the grid resiliency funding. They think that's going to go ahead and continue, as well as some of it's what's called Energy for Rural America, some of that grant funding too. So they're saying about the same thing you are, Brian. So it sounds like things will, we'll move forward one way or another. So. Yeah,
exactly. So what we're kind of all gas on this until the administration transition, and we haven't, I would say, pumped the brakes at all. But I think we were going to start procuring some longer lead time equipment, and as of right now, we're just holding off on that until we hear back from USDA as far as what their timeline is going to be. But we're moving forward on engineering. Obviously, we got the system impact study. We'd like to get the leases signed. Basically, we'd like to get everything ready to go. So as soon as we get the word that it's going to happen, we'll just be able to pull the trigger on everything.
So the time frame for this lease is still, we need to get that done?
That would be super helpful, so we can put our construction financing package together over the next 60, 90 days.
You think it's wise to add language based on funding, or are we all good?
Yeah, so I think in the lease itself, it basically gives us a year to start construction. And if we don't start construction, then we'd either have to extend it or it would be kind of void.
Okay.
And that's when we start construction, we'll give you a notice, and then that's when lease payments would begin.
We want the money up front.
Probably the first time you ever heard that.
Never heard of it. Unfortunately, I just passed that bill on to Rick, so.
Does council have any questions?
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. We're super excited about this project and working with the cities. We love doing this work, and there's always seems to be a lot of buy-in locally where people can see that it's going onto their system and going to really help offset their power rates.
Rick, on our contract with Guzman and that, is there a clause in there? I mean, I didn't really check it out good about how much power we can add later on during the years on our own.
We can do up to 20% of our own.
Where are we at now?
But with these solar fields, we're going to be right at that, if not just a touch over. And we visited with Guzman about that. So they're well aware of what we're doing, and it's something we'll be able to work out with them. They've been pretty amenable to that kind of thing. So I think we'll be in good shape with that.
So when can we expect to get a contract to sign?
We have the lease agreement was in your packet for review. There's a few things we're looking at staff-wise, but we can bring it forward to you. I think the power purchase agreement and the interconnection, where is that at?
We need to bring that.
Yeah.
So when it.
I mean, is it?
The purchase power agreement we've executed. So
okay.
We've already done that. The interconnection agreement, I think they'd like to get that
along with the lease.
Yeah, and that'll help us planning that work and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we do have to make a couple of edits. I think we had sent an interconnection agreement over, but now that we have the results of the system impact study, I think we'll make a couple of edits on that interconnection agreement, and then send that along for your review.
Okay.
All right.
So probably within the next couple of meetings or so, we'll have something before council, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
We have 2 meetings, our operating committee meeting and then the board of director meeting, so maybe after that.
Oh, that's for
Or
ARPA,
sooner.
yeah.
But for ARPA and the city.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great, no, thank you all. Pleasure to work with you, and yeah, available for any questions as they come up, and look forward to working through the lease and the interconnection agreement.
Thank you. I gotta see you at NMPP's conference in next month, in March.
Yeah,
All
we'll be
right,
there.
good, see you there.
Party.
Thank you all.
See you, Cam, Brian.
See an uptick in that price a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, right.
There being no other items, staff has nothing,
No, no.
council has nothing. Okay, this ends the work session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.